Hey folks, this is Wildstar on the Surface Pro 2. This game was just officially released today for people who didn't buy the deluxe edition. So I thought I'd do a video, for anyone who hasn't already got it, who hasn't got the deluxe edition already. We'd kind of like to know how it actually plays on the Surface Pro 2. To be honest with you, it plays really actually quite well. I was quite surprised for an MMO how well it played. I mean, it's got a few issues, kind of buggy quests and lag spikes and all that now and again, but I think the lag spikes might get sorted out quite quickly because it's relatively it's a relatively new game, so they should get sorted out quite quickly, because I was noticing on the forums it was one of the issues quite a lot of people were having. I mean, and that's even on high-end machines, so later on it should be hopefully sorted. But I was actually pretty impressed by the performance I was getting from it. I was getting about 20 to 30 FPS on average, which is totally playable for an MMO, especially for leveling and just quests and stuff like that, if you're wanting to do that in between travelling, if you're on business or whatever. I wouldn't really advise it for raiding or doing dungeons or anything like that. It probably wouldn't be the best for that, but definitely for just leveling a character or whatever, it'd work totally fine. I mean, I found the dodging to be quite hard. In this game, there's certain artifacts you get on the ground that you have to dodge, or it'll do damage to you if you don't dodge them, or whatever. But I found them to be quite hard. I mean, especially at 20 FPS when it dips down now and again, they could be quite hard to actually avoid. Especially with FPS drops kind of plucked into that as well. But the thing I noticed about this game, which I was quite actually impressed about, they seem to have thought about this quite well. I haven't really seen it in a lot of other games. Quote me if I'm wrong here, but I'm pretty sure I haven't seen it before. But it's the render resolution that they've got for it. You can change the render resolution in the game, so you can. It defaults at normal. So if you've got it at 1280 by 720, it would just be defaulting at normal, and then you can put it down to low. So basically, it'll keep the same resolution on your screen as you would 1280 by 720 or 1920 by 1080, but it'll downgrade the actual rendering. It'll downgrade the rendering resolution so that it'll look blurry, but it'll play a lot better, which is really good for the Surface Pro 2. I mean, it works extremely well for it, especially with it being kind of a lower end device. It's not a high end device, it's a high end tablet, but compared to a desktop, it's not got the performance as a high end desktop. So things like that really help. I've got footage later on in a video actually showing that off, how the render resolutions. I'm going through normal, low, and ultra low, just to show the different FPS and how well it kind of integrates in it, and how much better FPS you get with it. The UI scaling, I had a bit of an issue with that, especially with 1280 by 720. The UI scaling went down to 0.75, which is quite low. I mean, especially if you're running it at 1920 by 1080. So it's really small. But on the Surface, playing it at 1280 by 720, it was still quite big. It didn't seem to scale very well. I mean, the nameplates, all that kind of things, like the quest log, all that kind of stuff was still pretty big on the screen. So I bumped the game up to basically 1920 by 1080. I put it into borderless windowed, and my default desktop resolution is 1920 by 1080. So it basically puts it at 1920 by 1080. But it's borderless windowed, so you get less performance than you would on full screen. Anyway, that being said, it actually performed pretty well on ultra low, with it being at 1920 by 1080 in borderless window. I put it down to ultra low, and the UI was quite easy to read still, but it was small enough so that it wasn't taken away from the action or anything like that. And it actually run really fine. It was running at about 30. I mean, sometimes it was going up to 40 FPS and stuff like that. I mean, in certain areas. So I was really impressed by that. I mean, sticking on a full screen 1920 by 1080 and then putting it down ultra low. I mean, with it being 1920 by 1080, putting the render resolution down to ultra low, you don't notice graphically anything majorly wrong with it. Especially if you're playing on a tablet, you don't expect to get ultra graphics and really good graphical performance like you would on a high-end desktop. So that's kind of what you're after, is just to be able to play a game and play it well on on a tablet, or traveling on the train or whatever. If you've got Wi-Fi on the train, you can have a quick blast in it. But that's probably I think the best advice you could give you is probably to play it on full screen 1920 by 1080 with the render resolution at ultra low. I've got footage at the end of my video showing the difference between the 1920 by 1080 borderless windowed on ultra low and on low. I'll have a link in the description with the settings that I had at the time of doing this, all the settings I was using. I mean, you know, changing the render resolution, I won't really put that in. I'll put it to what I had for most of the video, which was basically at low, which is a pretty alright setting for 1280 by 720. It's good graphical good performance, but it still, you know, graphically looks well. So I'll leave it at that. Anyway, I'll have the game description, you know, all the video kind of settings and all that in the video description as well. But anyway, guys, just like to say, as usual, no, thanks for watching. If you did like this video, if you could please like and subscribe, it'd be much appreciated. And just another side note, actually, I'll probably be doing some unboxing quite soon. It'll probably be like my first unboxing videos that I'll be doing ever. I'll be doing kind of like mice and different keyboards and kind of like some of the peripherals that I quite enjoy using with my Surface. I'll just be doing an unboxing of them and a general review, just so people can get to grips with what kind of, you know, peripherals are actually quite good for traveling or stuff like that, or if you're wanting to use it as, you know, instead of a desktop. But as usual, guys, thanks for watching and take care.
Triple kill. Super kill. Double kill.